Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Owner's Box After Dark. I am your host, Mark Farinella, the former assistant sports editor, Patriots beat writer, sports columnist, and man of a million jobs at a newspaper in southeastern Massachusetts. And now, 3 years into my retirement and my podcasting career. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. I know I have. Today is Tuesday, the 22nd of June, 2021. And I'm here in the palatial and dry confines of Fulton Pond Studios in Mansfield, Massachusetts. We're actually having some rain outside today, and we had some wicked pissa thunderstorms go through the area a little while ago. So if we suddenly get a couple of explosions, it's not my fans rebelling against this broadcast. It's just God's will. But I don't think we're going to get anything more in the way of thunderstorms right now. It's mostly just rain, and we need it. Grass has been drying out just a little bit. Still getting enough for me to have to mow it, which is not a good thing, given one of the topics that I'm going to tell you about shortly. First thing I want to show you, we have gear. The Owner's Box After Dark. I have several different shirts, colors, but the logo is there, and I really kind of, it's all about brand. It's about selling your brand, like making sure that out there, you let people know who's doing what and why they should be watching it. And who knows, maybe at some point I'll give out some shirts. Of course, you got to be 3XL first. I don't know if I'm going to get any smaller sizes. We'll see what happens. I mean, I've been giving out hats. I've been giving out cups, coffee mugs. We'll see if there's anything else out there that I can get. Maybe I should get some of my pipes embroidered with the Owner's Box across them. Wouldn't that be great? Embroidered. You don't embroider a pipe. Yeah, sure. Spend $100 for a pipe and another $100 to get the name of the thing put on it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. All right. My tribute to Hugh Hefner, for whom After Dark has a lot of meaning. I want to update you on some issues since I haven't been around for a while. It's been a while since the last episode. I would say probably about, I want to say 10 days, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It's been a while. Actually, it's probably a lot more than that. Yeah, come to think of it, I think it's been a lot more than that. Well, I'll tell you why. I mean, it's been a puzzling time, and I did a recent episode of the audio podcast, the original Gangsta, the Owner's Box, available on all of the most popular podcasting platforms, including Apple Play. It's Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and several others. So just do a search somewhere. You're going to find it. Do a search for the Owner's Box, and you will get there, and you can subscribe for free. And it doesn't cost you anything, and the episodes will download right to your smartphone without you having to ask for it. In fact, you may not even want it there when it shows up, but it will be there. It's been a trying time here at the old homestead. I'll talk about one of the issues shortly, but first I'll give you an update on the most pressing ones in regards to what I've been complaining about for a couple of years now. The first thing, my knee issues. As you know, I had knee surgery on August 11th of last year. It hasn't been a quick recovery. I've had issues. Sometimes it feels like it's getting stronger, and then all of a sudden it just goes backward, goes in the other direction, and I'm just hobbling around here and not feeling good about myself. So I'd had an appointment with my surgeon recently, and she seemed to think that things were getting stronger and that there were reasons for me to be a little bit more optimistic. But the fact is that she did mention that I do have areas in my left leg, in my left knee especially, where it's bone on bone. Things are moving on bone, and that's never easy to get along with. And the future may hold for me a knee replacement, but that's not certain yet. So if I can avoid it for now, that would be great, because this has taken a year out of my life, basically, getting over this thing. I mean, from when it first started bothering me in April of 2020, and I mean, it's been bothering me since 1975, but I mean, when I first decided to deal with it, until now, it's been an education in how really not to take for granted the things that are working correctly. So I had a real bout with swelling, especially not just in my knee, but farther down the leg and the back of the ankle and the Achilles area. And I was just scared. I was afraid of that. I was afraid I might have what they call cellulitis, an infection of your skin, which causes swelling and causes it to like blister a little bit, and then all sorts of issues can arise from that. But I went to my primary care physician's nurse practitioner, and since my PCP was out of town, and so as a result, she wanted to err on the side of caution, so she sent me for blood tests and for an ultrasound. And first of all, the blood tests all came back right down the middle of the normal zones. I mean, I couldn't have been more normal. And it's probably the most normal I am in anything. And then the ultrasound was taken care of very quickly, and then later in the same day I got the results, and no clots, nowhere, no signs of impairment, anything. Now, I do have a few issues because of my age and my diabetes, but I can I'll just have to live with them, I guess. But at least it was good to know that I didn't have any really pressing issues in the Achilles area. And then, strangely enough, in the last couple of days, it's loosened up a little bit. I wear compression socks at night. I look like an old man when I do it, because I am an old man. And I did what I could to take care of it, putting some creams on it to knock down the pain a little bit. And we'll see. I mean, I'm walking quasi-normally right now, but who's to say that's going to last long? I have another appointment with the surgeon in August, early August, and so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I was using a cane a couple of weeks ago and into last week, but I've been able to put that back up on the shelf now, so hopefully that will be the case for a while. The next issue was an issue I had with my throat, and you've probably heard, and sometimes I'm a little raspy in speaking. My voice cracks a little bit, and oftentimes that happens at a period of time after I've done a lot of play-by-play telecasts of high school sports in a row, because that's testing my voice. I mean, again, I'm 67. I'm not a young man, so some things are just basically getting old. But I was afraid that I might be developing polyps or something on the inside of around my vocal cords. So I made an appointment for a specialist in Boston at Brigham and Women's Hospital. It's really funny. You walk in there, you sit down in the room, and then instead of one doctor, you get four immediately. They just all come in. They just pepper you with questions. They want to find out, about every facet of what you do and why you do it and why you're feeling these things. And then they lube up this long tube, and they stick it up your nose. And there's quite a nose to get in here. No problem getting it in, that's for sure. And it snakes around, goes down into your throat. Now, I didn't feel a thing. And they looked around in there with the camera, and nothing. The only thing they've noticed is that, yes, there is a little bit of fraying that you can expect from someone who's in his 60s. But no, it's not bad at all. So that was good. So they prescribed something for maybe an acid reflux condition, which I don't really have badly. In fact, I hardly have any at all. But they said that it could be a possibility where just a little bit of stomach acid might be finding its way up, especially when I'm flat at night when I'm sleeping. And that could have been irritating my throat and causing me to cough and causing some of the raspiness, especially with the throat already a little irritated from the intensity of 2 to 3 hours of yelling and screaming and play-by-play, which I've had to do a lot of because I've done an awful lot of good games. And they're also going to give me some speech therapy in October and teach me a few things about maybe breathing and maybe directing my voice to use it in a slightly different way so that it puts a little bit less pressure on just the chords themselves. You learn how to breathe a little bit differently. And you know who went through that was the voice of the Boston Bruins, Jack Edwards, and who was a guest on my original podcast. And we talked about things like that. And he mentioned he had taken voice lessons when he was younger so that he could learn how to draw the breath up from lower and project out without screaming. So that'll be something to see if I can learn that and be able to use it going forward. I think that would be great. So all those issues seem to be not as bad as I thought they were. Now, one thing that's happening with the knee is that they are going to give me a real knee brace, a metal one. It'll be lightweight metal. In fact, I'm getting fitted for it tomorrow. They actually have it at Brigham and Women's, tomorrow being Thursday. I'm sorry, it will be Thursday. That's right, so it won't be tomorrow. It's kind of like what Tom Brady wears when he plays, because Brady, of course, as you know, in the 2008 season opener against Kansas City, he suffered an ACL tear 7.5 minutes into his first game, in fact. And as a result, he has had to wear a knee brace when he plays ever since. They're very lightweight. They provide a lot of mobility even while they restrict you in certain ways. And what they're hoping this will do is will sort of help me learn how to walk a little bit, just a tiny bit differently, so that I won't be putting as much pressure and pounding on the areas where the meniscus was removed and where that bone-on-bone situation is happening. But it's probably just a stopgap, and I wouldn't be surprised if within a year or two I may have to have a knee replacement. So I've talked to a lot of people who've had them. Some liked them, some hated it. I've had talked to people with hip replacements, which is a lot worse. And one of the problems I was worried about was that I was starting to walk badly. I mean, really just hobbling all the time. And that rickety motion, hop along Farinella here, was causing me to get pain in my hip and in my right knee, in my right hip and my right knee, because of the way I was landing differently. So we don't want to let that continue on. Otherwise, that could be a much worse situation to have to deal with later down the road. So looks like I'm not as bad off as I thought I was. You know, let's hope not. Anyway. Okay, the original plans for this episode, I think I hinted to it in episode 47, was going to be a bit of a tribute to someone. And those plans have kind of been put on hold for a while, but I might as well mention the reasons for it. A dear friend, one of the finest people I've known in my lifetime, Tom Souza, passed away last month. I can't even remember how long, probably a 2 to 3 year battle with cancer. And he fought well. He fought with dignity and bravely. And it finally got to him after a very long battle and a lot of struggles for him. And look, here's a guy who, you look at him and you say, well, this man's never struggled in his life. He is he was the high school quarterback. He was went to Dartmouth, played football up there as a safety. Got his master's from Brown University. Was in the travel industry for years and helped take a firm in Pawtucket run by some folks here in Mansfield. Helped take it to make it a worldwide concern. And then he went off on his own, made his own trek into travel, and then did something entirely different. He started a television production company, and what he would do was he would get all of the equipment necessary for broadcasting live sports from an outdoor or indoor venue, depending upon which, and then he would contract with a network like the New England Sports Network, NESN, or with Fox Sports, ESPNU, NBC Sports Network. All of them did a lot of college and small college, and then other professional type sports. One of his greatest successes at it, I think, was bringing a lot of exposure to the Cape Cod League, the Cape Cod Baseball League in the summertime. You've probably heard of it. You may have seen that awful movie, Summer Catch, was it? Or I can't remember what it was. One with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel, and Kurt Gowdy was in it. And that was that was set in the Cape Cod League, and it was a passion of his, and he developed the league, and he would do like regular telecasts and sell those to the other networks that wanted to carry it in the summertime, and he would do the make sure there was a big production done with the Cape Cod League All-Star Game. In fact, he would always hire talent for them, and a couple of the people who were hired as sideline reporters have become relatively famous. One that you'll recognize immediately, especially if you watched the Bruins in the playoffs recently, was the studio host for NBC Sports, Catherine Tappan. Used to work for NESN, and has really taken off as a studio host for NHL broadcasts, and she's done quite well since. Another one is a woman who used to be known as Megan O'Brien. She is now Megan Morant, and she worked for many years in the Patriots organization doing their in-house video. And you would have seen it on any number of things. You've seen some of it on Channel 4 in Boston. A good interviewer, very good interviewer, Northwestern alum, so obviously has a lot of talent, just naturally. And she just recently got a job with the WWE. And so now she does all those things, SmackDown, whatever night Raw. I don't know. I don't watch it, so I'm not a fan of wrestling, but I guess if she's getting a good paycheck, good for her. And so she's taking that to the next level, and I wouldn't be surprised if there are more things in her future going forward too. So yeah, they both started out basically with Tom and his company, and a few years ago, Tom was diagnosed, and a little late, unfortunately. I think there were other stories about that, but I won't get into them right now. And finally, he left us last month. And Alex Salaki, Tom Souza, and I hung around an awful lot in high school. We were the knights of the city, I guess you might say. And we took trips, and we had great adventures, and we did all sorts of fun and stupid and silly things, but it was all good-natured, and we didn't hurt anybody with any of the foolishness. It was all the stuff that maybe I should write some short stories about or something. But even after high school, of course, we went to different colleges. Alex to Assumption, Tom to Dartmouth, me to Northwestern. But we all still found time to hang out and do things in our young adult life and all that. Lives kind of took their different paths. Alex and I stayed more local than Tom did. Tom had got married, had a family. Alex got married, had a family. I didn't get married. You know all the stories, or if you don't want to know them, because I'd probably embellish them anyway. But the fact is that we all we're all still in here with each other. You know, you don't become friends like that and just sort of forget somebody years down the road. So, I told a one funny story and then kind of a poignant story. In a few years back, I had not seen Tom in a long time, and for some reason, I was covering a high school basketball game at North Attleboro while I was still at the paper. And all of a sudden, this tall, gray-haired guy comes up to me and says, Hey, Hawk, how you doing? And I looked at him and I said, oh, it's Bob Souza. Bob being one of Tom's older brothers. So I said, hey, Bob. He goes, hey, Hawk, it's T. Well, I had not seen him since his hair turned from brown to gray. And, of course, I was mortified. I'm like, good God, how could I do that? But he did look a little bit like his brother, because his brother had gone gray, and I'd seen him. So he'd tease me about that from time to time when we would run into each other. But for the most part, all was forgiven, I hope. And then more recently, it was in March. It was the last of my appointments for physical therapy for my knee. And so I went over to the Brigham and Women's in Foxborough where I was doing that. And I walked in to get my appointment set up, and I noticed that Tom's oldest brother, Jack, was sitting in a corner. So I went over. I said, hey, Jack, how you doing? What's up? And he goes, well, Tom's here for physical therapy. I said, oh, really? I've been doing it for my knee here. So I'll see him when I get inside there. So I got in, but, once you get onto the table and they're telling you to stretch this and pull that and God knows what else, you don't really think about what's going on around you. Except I did look over into the corner at one point, and I saw that there was a treadmill off to one side, and there was a harness attached to the kind of area above it. And what you do is you put someone who can't walk that well into the harness so they could get some exercise on the treadmill and try to gain control of their steps. Well, that was Tom's exercise of the day. And as I was bent over that side, stretching my leg and doing knee things and all that, I could see that what he was doing was, oh God, a lot more challenging than anything I was doing. And he was doing his level best to get some mobility back. It was not easy for him. I waited around after my workout was over, and I had a chance to sit with both Tom and Jack and just chat and keep it light and keep it happy and tell him how much it was great to see him and all that, and good to see him out there working on it. And the one thing I noticed is, as challenging as it was for him, the light in his eyes was still there. He was still himself. He was still kind of a little self-effacing, but quick with a joke. Confident, but aware of what his situation was. But it was just great to see him, because he did not look like a man who probably knew in his heart that he did not have long left. He had, I would say about a week and a half before he passed, I think he had a cerebral hemorrhage. The doctors knew that his cancer had metastasized just about everywhere, and so there was not much time. He was made comfortable, and then he left with his family there, with his wife Sylvie, his son Kyle, and his daughter Allie. And so we went a few weeks later. We all went to the funeral, and it's just hard. It's very hard to believe that he's not with us anymore. And it's almost impossible to believe that. So Alex and I were going to sit down and do a podcast and try to do things to kind of to honor him, and yet to be light and to happy and tell some of the silly stories and all that. But we're just not ready to do it yet. So at some point, I think we will. But in the meantime, I just want you all to offer in your thoughts some good feelings for a good man who went way too early. And I was blessed to have him in my life, as just about everybody who knew him believed. And after this pause, I'll be back to talk a little bit about broadcasting, play-by-play, and how I'm not going to be doing a lot of it for a while now. We'll be right back. Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's nothing that gets me out of a bad mood quicker than to watch some of these silly Japanese commercials I throw on here, but they are funny. It's just incredibly hard to follow sometimes, but what the hell? Something different, right? Okay, as you know, I'm Mark Farinella. You should have known that if I didn't have to tell you again. And this is the Owner's Box After Dark. Episode 47? No, 48. Episode 48. Why do I want to call it 47? I just did 47. The drink of choice tonight, it's red. Yes, it's V8 with a big splash of lemon juice in there, which I think I put a little bit too much. It's been in my refrigerator for a while too, and I think I don't think it ferments, but it just has a different taste to it. So if I have to run out during this segment of the thing and you hear the toilet flushing in the background, we'll know why. But it's still better for me than some of the crap that I drink. So, yeah, it's not so bad. I put a little bit too much lemon in it though. And speaking of lemon, the mood candle here in Fulton Pond Studios is a Yankee Candle Sicilian lemon. Here's a Sicilian lemon for you right here. It is a great smell, though. I think I just singed every hair on my nose. Ooh, cooked. Okay, let's talk about the end of my career, at least for this year, as a high school sports broadcaster. You hear me talk about it all the time because I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy doing it. I've been working for many cable systems for quite some time since I retired from the newspapering business. And so this would be my third year working for North Attleboro Community Television in North Attleboro, affectionately known and referred to hence as North TV. And the second year that I've been exclusively doing, well, not exclusively, I've done a few other schools too, but King Philip Regional High School, I'm kind of like the base of the coverage team there for KP. And I've explained it before, but I'll tell you real quickly. North TV got the contract to do Plainville Cable, neighboring town. And so for its local origin programming, North TV handles that, and North TV handles the high school sports for Plainville's high school, which is King Philip Regional High School. It's located in nearby Wrentham, 3 towns, Plainville, Wrentham, and Norfolk. And so, and of course, this year, with the pandemic, everything was live streamed, basically, and everything went global. So it didn't matter where you lived, you could watch this stuff on the internet, and it was pretty cool to hear from people who had watched it in England or in Aruba or places like that. And of course, I also have worked in the past for Foxborough Cable. Didn't this year because of pandemic restrictions, but I expect I'll be back with them for a couple of games next year. And I do a lot of basketball for Mansfield Cable, and of course that's alma mater, and they are the best basketball team in the area, and I really enjoy watching and calling both their boys and girls teams. So, but my 2021 season, 2020, 2021, is over. And unfortunately, it's still going on. The season is, but we kind of ran out of money, I think. The deal is it's a nonprofit corporation, and they budget and they pay the help. So they budgeted for 3 seasons originally, not actually knowing what was going to happen with the pandemic. But you normally in high school sports, you have a fall, you have a winter, and you have a spring season, and that's it. Well, of course, this year they squeezed 4 seasons into the time of 3 because they moved football to the springtime. So, it's kind of weird because we did so many games for so much of the year, and then here when we finally get to almost a normal season, almost normal. I mean, not quite completely normal, but as close as you can get to normal, given the fact that the pandemic, I guess it ended, as long as we don't have that Delta variant come popping in here. I did field hockey and soccer in the fall. I did Mansfield and King Philip boys and girls basketball, and King Philip and Bishop Feehan hockey during the winter. I did King Philip football and girls volleyball in the fall 2 season. And then I did 1 softball game, 1 baseball game in the spring, and that's been it. And that's all we could budget for, apparently, all things considered. And hey, I understand budgeting. Believe me, I used to have to try to work with a budget when I was the sports editor of my newspaper, and of course I ignored it most of the time, but didn't win myself any friends in the bean counter's office for doing that. I'd never done baseball or softball before, but of course I grew up here in New England watching the Red Sox, so you would think that some of that would rub off on me. And of course, the Red Sox have had some pretty great broadcasters during their time, and how can you not learn when you're listening to guys like Kurt Gowdy or Ned Martin or even Ken Coleman? You come up a little sooner in some of the play. Dick Stockton and Ken Harrelson used to do the baseball on Channel 38 back in the day. There's been some great people, and you learn by osmosis. You listen to it, and you just figure if you have an interest in that kind of thing, as I always have had an interest, you learn, and you think you know what you're doing. But I learned a couple of valuable lessons during this shortened spring season. My friend Glenn Farley and I did baseball, and we know the sport, and the baseball game went pretty well, I would think. Aside from just learning some of the logistics as I was going through it, not having ever really done it before, but remembering what I should do, read the lineups beforehand, do certain things in each inning, make sure they know who's going to be the batting order of the inning. Some of the phraseology, things like that. We didn't have as many statistics and notes as what a professional broadcaster would have, but we made up for it in the baseball game. But we had enough to get us through because baseball, as you know, is kind of a slow sport, and you need to fill in gaps in the lack of action time with stories. So we did that pretty well. And, of course, I prepared the same way for the softball game. And I've covered a lot of King Philip softball in my years, and I had plenty of stories to tell. And to my horror, when Glenn and I arrived at the Plainville Athletic League complex on the night that we were going to do the game against Attleboro, that there's no time in softball to tell stories. It's just get the ball, throw, swing, run. It's quick. And that's a good thing, especially if you have 2 good teams playing, and it isn't going to be one of those 18-17 games where there are 25 walks on each side. No, these are 2 really good teams that faced off between King Philip and Attleboro. KP went in at, I believe it was 12-0 going into that, and Attleboro was 7-5 at the time, so they both had a lot of talent. And so I had some highlights here to let you know how I did. Now, The one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is our cameraman, who was Lauren Carpenter that day, had to shoot from a little press box kind of behind home plate. But you can't, there's so much chain link between him and the field that it just doesn't disappear, and you're going to be watching it through chain link. So I think baseball and softball are the two high school sports that really don't work with a one-camera setup. Now, we do football, we do basketball, we do hockey, only one camera sometimes. The North Attleboro broadcasts usually get 3 cameras, and they have a control van. So they have all the monitors, and the director can, pick and choose everything that he wants to be in the final telecast. Well, we don't have that privilege doing the KP games. We do one camera, and we got a mixing board, and we got 2 microphones, and there we are. But I think we do a pretty good job, and those sports you can get away with one camera because you can zoom, you can pull back, you can see as long as your cameraman's pretty good. And we have 2 really good ones in Scott Tooker and Lauren Carpenter. And those guys really did a great job of following the action in those sports. But baseball and softball need that on-the-field perspective so that you can switch away from the behind the plate. And if we went behind the plate here, we'd be shooting directly through chain link, so we wouldn't be able to move the camera. And so we had to choose another location. That's the best we could do. But all that being said, I do think that the product was pretty good, and I think Glenn and I did okay. Couple of flubs here and there, and again, I do think that we both we didn't realize at first how much we would have to speed up the storytelling because we had to get to the action. We would we'd start telling a story, and there would be 3 or 4 pitches into the next at bat, and we hadn't really been able to, introduce any of that yet. I had more statistics for softball, which was good, so I could throw some of that stuff in. And but fairly up-to-date batting averages and things like that. So I think we did all right. In this particular game, King Philip took an early lead. And, as far as I know at that point, as far as I knew at that point in the game, I figured King Philip was just going to just walk out of this game with a big lead, and that would be it. But they actually had a few runners thrown out on the base paths and stuff like that. So still, it looked like they were off to a great start in this early uprising, and here you can see some of it right now. The first walk of the game, and Charlotte Raymond, who has been a big batter for the KP Warriors this year, 25 for 36, 694, 2 home runs, 14 runs batted in. She was 0 for 3 yesterday against Perry. Shows gets a strike. I think she was committed to that one. So runners on first and second, 1 out. Here's the pitch. And they're going to throw it back down, but no problem there. So
Laura Woyton taking an aggressive approach, trying to pick off the runner. 1-1 in the count now to Raymond.
1 ball, 1 strike. Raymond looks it in, puts it in the air, and a collision. And that ball is still alive. Here's 1 run scoring, and the second one will be safe. No, they're going to call her out. He gave the safe sign initially and then called her out.
I believe he's saying that she never got to the plate.
All right, so we will call that a triple. Or maybe a double, I would think.
I would
more
say
like,
double.
Yep,
she advances
double.
to third on the throw home.
Yep. 1 run batted in.
It's too bad the Warriors are running themselves out of a big inning here.
And that kind of happened to him a little bit early in the game yesterday as well. Attleboro quickly came back, and they took a 2-1 lead. But King Philip used the long ball to go back in front 5-2. And here is exactly how that happened.
And Taunton is a dynasty in softball.
And if you don't think a softball hurts, Cullen's rubbing her arm over there. She took that one right on the fleshy part of the shoulder, and it's smarting.
And she's a catcher, so she's
Yep. She's used to that.
She's got to be a tough kid to play that position.
Charlotte Raymond is up. Cullen fakes the move off the base, but
Raymond doubled in her first at bat.
And there's a stroke to
That
left
ball's hit
field,
well.
and that is gone. No doubt about that one when it left the bat. Charlotte Raymond with a 2-run homer. It puts King Philip back out in front.
Have yourself a night, Charlotte Raymond. Double, RBI double in the first. 2-run homer here, and has thrown out a base runner at second base.
Well, she has got that reputation already for the King Philip Warriors. She's only a sophomore, folks, but she's done great things for them. And just continue it on. And as the King Philip Warriors go in front 3-2 here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
And as much as that hit by pitch might have hurt Cullen, Raymond made it hurt Lindsey Perry.
Yeah.
Another
Fly ball by
well-hit ball.
Sherwood, and that is heading
Gone.
out of this ballpark again. So back-to-back home runs make Sherwood on the first pitch. And now it's 4-1. 4-2 rather.
Back-to-back pitches for home runs.
Yep.
And Mark Homer wants to talk to Lindsey Perry and try to settle things down here before this one gets out of hand.
But Attleboro wasn't done, and I think they took the hint from King Philip. And after putting 2 runners on base in the top of the 5th inning, just one stroke of the bat made it an entirely new ball game. Yeah, Milford versus Taunton. It was now 135-2.
Okay.
And what a catch. Nice play by Bradley, diving stab. Everybody safe on stays on the base pass where they were, but a line drive out. And now it's 2 out with the 2 on in scoring position. And the number 1 batter in the order, Haley Perry, comes up. She has flown out to left field and struck out. Here's the pitch. Low, ball 1.
Bradley, the first baseman, doesn't hit, but she's certainly earning her keep over there at first base tonight. She had the stretch earlier, and that play right there might have taken 2 runs off the board.
There's its poke into left field, going back, and that is gone. Another home run, and Attleboro strikes now for 3 runs on the home run by Haley Perry to left field. And it is tied 5-5. Well, Attleboro is not going down gently. They have really done a great job in these 2 games. But there's a reason why the Warriors went into this game with the 12-0 mark. And it was evident when they rallied for 2 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to get themselves in good position to win the game. That was close, but it was inside. 3 balls, no strikes. Certainly not making it easy on Raymond, but she'll take the walk, I believe. I don't think she'll complain much.
Do you give her the green light here?
If it's good. And with her average, sure. But she was smart. It was high, and she took it, and it was ball 4. So the bases are loaded. Meg Sherwood will be up. Flied out to right field in the 1st inning, ending that inning. Home run right after Raymond's home run in the 4th, and struck out in the 5th.
Bases loaded. Wooten has walked 3 in an inning and 2/3, so control has been a problem for her.
And the first pitch is low. Not a bad pitch, but just a little bit too low.
Not missing by a whole lot.
No. 1 ball, no strikes. No place to put her. Sherwood, right-handed batter, stands in. Inside, another ball.
Time to be very selective at the plate right here.
Sherwood hitting .405 coming into this game. 15 for 37. Now has 3 home runs to her credit.
She might get a good one hit right here, Mark.
16 runs batted in.
Nope.
High and outside. Ball 3. And this could be troublesome right here.
Well, you got to take here. No green light here.
Yep. Boynton throws right down the middle. It's called strike. 3 balls, 1 strike. 6-5, King Philip leading. The bases are loaded. 2 out. Meg Sherwood has a home run in this game. The pitch. Low, back to the screen. And there will be a run come across. So the walk forces in a run. It is now 7-5, King Philip in the lead.
3 walks in a row have been Waiton's undoing.
And that was the final, 7-5. And I was mistaken earlier. They went into the game at 11-0. They improved to 12-0 with this win. Now, unfortunately for the King Philip Warriors, they lost their last 2 games of the regular season, both of them to league-leading Taunton. Taunton had gone into it at 12-0 as well. And so King Philip finished second in the Hockomock League's Kelly Rex division. And they were the number 4 seed in the MIAA Division I South tournament, Taunton being the top seed. So I think Natick was number 2, King Philip number 4. I forgot who number 3 was. But anyway, the playoffs began with King Philip getting a first-round bye. They beat Milton 6-3 in their first-round game, so they have another game coming up tomorrow, Wednesday. It is the quarterfinal round of the Division I South tournament, and they'll play Plymouth North. They were the number 5 seed, and that game is at 6:30 at the Plainville Athletic League complex. Now, I really wish we could cover that, but unfortunately we can't. The next game will probably be not just against Taunton, but at Taunton, because normally Taunton, they have a great softball complex over at Taunton High, and they've been the host for sectional tournaments for many, many years. So, and they end up playing in their own tournament there, basically. So Taunton will probably win, and that will probably mean a King Philip Taunton rematch, and that will be single elimination. So it'll be in the semifinal round of the sectionals, and that could be it. But that's already been it for me until the fall on behind the microphone. I hope we'll be back. I'm pretty sure we will be. I don't see any circumstance saying that we won't be, but you never know these days. So I just want to say that I really enjoyed my time working for North TV this year, as I enjoyed my time working for all the people I work for. And to that end, I would like to thank all of my broadcast partners, all of my analysts who really have made me look a lot better than I really am. We'll start with Del Malloy, who worked with me on field hockey and soccer, Martin Graylish on soccer, Alex Salaki, my dear brother from another mother, worked with me on King Philip basketball, both boys and girls, and on a few Mansfield games this year. Tom Faria from Mansfield Cable, Mr. Mansfield, basically, and I enjoy working with him. His natural enthusiasm brings something special to the telecasts. As I said, Alex helped me out for a few games there. And Glenn Farley helped me out with 2 King Philip basketball games on a weekend where Alex couldn't make it. Glenn was my broadcast partner for hockey. We did King Philip boys, Bishop Feehan girls. We were supposed to do a King Philip girls game, but it got postponed several times, and we finally gave up on it. Glenn also worked with me, of course, for King Philip football, as he has for 2 years now. We also did a Tri-County football game during the year, and I hope we'll be able to do some more from either them or Bishop Feehan as we go forward. Alex was my partner for King Philip volleyball, and hey, I really began to enjoy volleyball. I'd never really warmed up to high school volleyball until I watched it. And I got to say, I hope I'll be able to do more volleyball games down the road. And that will be a fall sport next year, so we'll see what happens with that. And, of course, Glenn was my partner for the softball and baseball games. So as it says here in my notes, say nice things about them, and I hope I have. And it is well-deserved. They did a great job. And, like I said, made me sound a lot better than I really am. We'll be back after one more commercial we'll throw in, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening.
ここに737型機が格納されています。そしてこの機体が
人類術ですよね。 JTA の佐々木機長のアイデアによって生まれた伝説のデザイン。家族で沖縄美ら海水族館を訪れた彼はこう言ったんです。 ジンベエザメが空を泳いでいたらみんなワクワクするんじゃないかと。だって空見ちゃん、
君よく知ってるね。
佐々木機長。空見ちゃん、空見ちゃん。ゆがキャットマンも失神してる。空見ちゃん。
JTA 日本トランスオーシャン航空。
Yeah, I gotta tell you, V8 juice tastes a lot better when it's fresh. I think we'll go back to the Diet Dr. Pepper shortly. So, episode 48 is about to be in the books. Again, a reminder, these podcasts are on YouTube here on the Owner's Box. After dark. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, just do a search. Go on YouTube, do a search for the Owner's Box After Dark. You'll find where they are. You'll find my channel. Just subscribe. No cost. No big deal. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to donate to my favorite charity, which is me. You don't have to do anything at all. Just donate, and then when you get new ones come out, you can watch them. You can watch them on your television. You can watch them on your computer. You can do all sorts of stuff. Wherever you can get the YouTube app, you're golden. And of course, the Owner's Box, my original podcast, is available, as I said, on all of those great podcasting platforms, of which I will put that list up here. And now I know I've been a little slack lately, but I've got some plans to get some guests again, and I'm also going to do some remote stuff, I think. In fact, I might start working on that tomorrow night. The Mass Premier Courts Summer High School Basketball League is back after a pandemic year off. And I think I might take a stroll over there and see if I can find any of my friends in the basketball community. I have my bag full of it's over there. I have my bag full of the remote equipment that I can hook up in a moment's notice. It's all battery powered, doesn't have any problems, so I can sit someone down and force them into a 10-minute interview, and who knows, we'll get that up real fast. And then I do have a special guest coming in. I might as well tell you who, because she'll be a fourth-time guest, I think, by that time. It's Missy Traversi, the women's basketball coach at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. Yep, Army. First year, Missy's job. She just got the job recently. She's been on campus up at West Point, learning the ropes. And I'm sure she's going to have some really interesting stories to tell, because I'll tell you, this is a different type of job. I mean, she's had other college jobs, of course. She just came over from Adelphi University, and she has been a culture changer everywhere she's gone. I think at Army it might be a little bit different, because I know they can use an infusion of her enthusiasm, but remember, it's Army. They have their own culture in place there. West Point, the long gray line, has been there for a long time. And I'll be interested. I'm going to ask Missy how it feels to be entering that kind of legacy, and how she's going to adapt what she does to what's done at Army. So, and before all else, before we leave you tonight, again, just a reminder, I still have it. I still use it. May not be wearing the masks as much, although if I have to go to the post office, I still have to wear a mask when I go in there, because it's a federal building and they're still requiring it. But use your hand sanitizer, wash your hands, keep an eye out, be careful, follow the news reports, find out if this Delta variant, I say that, I just think of John Belushi and Delta House and Animal House, you know. So, but there's no laughing matter if this thing shows up again, because we're all just about ready to just say, oh, thank God we're out of it. And let's hope that's the case. So, but stay vigilant, and take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and hopefully we will not have to worry about anything else going down the road except stumbling over our crutches. God knows I don't want to go on those. And just normal everyday stuff that we have to put up with as human beings. So be good, be careful, and be safe. And Thanks so much for joining me here. See you again soon. Good night, everybody.